Hey guys, welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you my recipe for strawberry pie. Now, my BFF, my sweetheart, is coming home from a business trip and it's springtime. So what better to greet him than a strawberry pie? He loves strawberries. So why not make a pie? So I've got everything set out here ready to go. It's a 3-part component here. You've got the crust, you've got the filling, and you've got the whipped cream on top. So I'm going to walk you through everything and we're just going to take it step by step. Now if you don't want to make a pie crust, store-bought works just fine, and I've done it many times, so don't worry about that. Pop that bad boy out about 10 minutes before you're ready to go. Let it kind of come to room temperature slightly before you roll it out and fit it into your pan. It's just a little bit easier to work with. But today I'm going to make my pie crust. So I'm going to go over all of the ingredients for the pie crust with you guys, and we'll start there, and then when it comes time to make the filling, I'll go over that as well, and as well as the topping, the whipped cream topping. It's very easy to put together. It's just a few steps. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started, so by the time he gets here it'll be set and ready to go. So let's get started. Alright guys, for your pie crust, this is everything you're going to need. I'm going to do mine in my food processor. You can do this by hand if you prefer. You can also do this in a standing mixer with the paddle attachment. So I'm just going to do it in this bad boy right here. You're going to need some flour, salt, vanilla. I've got some sugar in here, some ice cold water that apparently my ice has melted in, and some nice cold butter that I've just cubed up. And you're also going to need some stick to everything wrap. So let's get this pie crust going. Okay guys, first things first, I'm going to go ahead and add in my flour as carefully as I can, because usually this goes everywhere. I'm going to add in my sugar, some salt, and I'm going to give this a little blitz just to get that mixed up. Now I'm going to throw in my butter. And about a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to give this another little blitz until everything comes together and it's like a coarse crumb. Alright guys, it's a nice crumb texture. From here, all you're going to do is add in 1 tablespoon of water at a time until you get the dough to come together. I'm going to do 3 tablespoons to start off with, and then I'm going to mix it again. And then I'm just going to keep doing this until the dough comes together. Alright. The dough has come together. It's nice and pliable. So I'm just going to pour this out onto some stick to everything but what you want cling wrap, and pop this in the fridge for about 30 minutes to let this dough chill up. And then I will meet you right back here when we roll it out and fit it to the pan. Alright guys, while my dough was chilling, I just went ahead and cleaned everything up and prepped everything ready for the next step. So what I've got going on here is I've just got my little silicone mat here just to get me to the 12-inch mark, which is this outer ring here. I've got my pie dough sitting out, and it's slightly room temperature. It's been sitting out for about 5 minutes. My rolling pin. I've got my pie pan here. This is a 9-inch pie pan, and I've just got it lightly oiled with a little bit of neutral oil. You can do butter if you prefer. I've got some flour and some rice. Now, when it comes to blind baking, I like to use rice because I can eat the rice later, and it just works better for me. I don't like using beans because I don't like wasting the beans, because after you bake the beans in a blind bake, you have to toss them out, or you can cook them another 1 or 2 times in a blind bake. So with the rice, you can cook them later. So all I'm going to do now is lightly flour my board with some, or excuse me, lightly flour my silicone mat here. Get that all nice and coated. I like using a silicone mat because it just helps the buttery pie dough from sticking to my counter, but you can use your counter if you prefer. So I'm going to put that down. I'm going to add just a little bit of flour to that, and also to my rolling pin, and I'm just going to roll this out until it gets to about 12 inches in diameter, and then I will meet you right back here for the next step. Okay, so I've got my dough rolled out. All I'm going to do is just place it into my pan here, and I'm going to carefully kind of work with it until I get it where I want it in the pan. Just be patient and work with it. If it comes apart, just kind of smush it back down in there. And I like to use the bend in my finger to help get it into the edges here. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of, since this has the crinkle on the edge, I'm just going to lightly press this down into the little bits here, just to help get that pretty crinkle on the edges. It doesn't have to be perfect. That is all about rustic cooking. And then I'm just going to trim off the edges. I've got my little knife here. I'm just going to cut the edges off like this, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright guys, I've got my oven preheating to 425 degrees. I've got my pie shell, or excuse me, my pie crust into my pie pan. All you're going to do is just prick the bottom. It's called docking. So we're just going to do that to the sides as well. Doesn't have to be perfect. This just helps the pie crust not rise as much. So I've got that going. You can save the leftover pie dough pieces, just pop them in a freezer bag. Make sure you label the bag or the bowl that you put them in, and when you get enough you can make another pie. So that's what I do with that. So I've got some foil here, and I'm just going to set this down in the bottom here, and now I'm going to add enough rice into my foil here to cover the bottom. And this will help weigh the crust down, or the dough down, so it doesn't rise. Then you can just pop the rice back into your rice bucket and have it for dinner. So I'm going to bake this for about 15 to 20 minutes, just until it gets nice and golden brown. And then we're going to take it out, let it cool completely, and I'll meet you right back here for the next step. Alright guys, I've got a little saucepan here and it's over medium-low heat. All I'm going to do is add in my water, my sugar, and my cornstarch. And I'm going to stir this, mix this in, and then it's going to get nice and thick. I'm going to cook this for about 3 or 4 minutes. It's going to get nice and thick and a little bit transparent. So I'm just going to do that, and then I will meet you right back here to show you the next step for the filling. Alright guys, it only took about 2 to 3 minutes stirring constantly for this to get nice and thick. What we're going to do now is add in our vanilla, our gelatin, and we're going to mix this together really well until the gelatin is dissolved. Okay, so I've got all of my strawberries here, and I'm just going to pour this entire mixture over the strawberries. As best as I can. And then I'm just going to toss the strawberries into this Jello mixture very, very well. You want all of the strawberries to be coated in that mixture. So just stir, stir, stir until you get them all coated. Okay, now for my pie crust, what I did is I blind baked it. At the 15-minute mark, I took the aluminum foil off along with the rice, popped it back in the oven for another 3 to 5 minutes until the bottom gets nice and golden brown. Took it out, let it cool on the counter for about an hour, popped it in the fridge for about 30 minutes to an hour, and you're good to go. So now all I'm going to do is add all of these strawberries into my pie crust. Kind of spread that out. Switch my spoon. Get all of this Jello mixture from my bowl here. And then just spread this out as best as you can. Now when it comes to cutting your strawberries, you can cut them however you want. I cut mine in quarters. You can do half, you can do pieces, whatever your little heart desires. That is up to you. So I am going to pop this in the fridge for a few hours, just until the center is set, and it's going to be nice and thick and lovely. And then we will make our whipped cream to go on top. Alright guys, it is time to make the whipped topping, and this is everything you're going to need. I've got 4 ounces of cream cheese. It's at room temperature and it's soft. I've got 4 ounces of sour cream, some vanilla, about a cup of whipping cream, and some powdered sugar. Alright, what we're going to do first is we are going to whip the cream first. So I'm going to add my whipped cream into this bowl, and this is nice and cold. You want it cold so it whips up properly. And then I'm just going to whip this up until it gets to soft peaks. Alright guys, I've got my cream whipped up to ribbon stage. What I'm going to do now is just sprinkle in a little bit of powdered sugar at a time until this reaches the hard peak stage, or till it comes together and is whipped cream consistency. Okay, I've blended in all of my sugar, and when it gets to whipped cream consistency, the hard stage, you'll know by when you take your beaters out, it pretty much holds its shape. So I'm just going to clean off my beaters and set this aside, and then we will move on to the cream cheese portion. Alright guys, in a clean bowl, I'm just going to add in my cream cheese and all of my sour cream into this bowl, along with my vanilla. And we're just going to mix this together until it's nice and creamy and smooth. Alright guys, I've got my cream cheese mixture and it's nice and creamy and smooth. All we're going to do now is just add a quarter of this and kind of loosen up that cream cheese where it's easier to mix the two and fold it together. So I'm just going to stir that in. Alright, and then I'm just going to add a little bit at a time and fold it in to the cream cheese mixture. All you're going to do is go from the middle, flip it over like that, and then kind of go around the edges like that. So I am just going to finish doing this, and I will meet you right back here when we slice the pie. Alright guys, so I've got my pie here, and I am ready to cut a slice. And that pie crust is so good. This looks absolutely amazing. So I am going to get this piece out. The first piece always looks a little wonky. So look at that. That's gorgeous. Put that there. A dollop of cream on top. We're good to go. Alright guys, I've got my pie here. You can see that. It looks so good. So I'm just going to get a little bite. This pie is summer in a pie. It is absolutely delicious. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. And always remember, you can find all of my recipes on my blog. It's linked down in the description box. You can go there and just type in the search bar whatever recipe your little heart desires. It'll pull it right up. I'm going to go enjoy dessert, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.